Good morning, everyone. My name is Dana LaFonte, and I'll be your moderator this morning. I am a Racine County resident who is deeply concerned about coal pollution from We Energies. I'm also a Sierra Club member and a member of the Clean Power Coalition of Southeast Wisconsin, which is a group of 25 environmental, religious, and social justice organizations that are working together to pressure We Energies to retire its coal plants and adopt renewable energy. Thank you all for joining us this morning. On October 31st, 2011, a shoreline bluff collapsed into Lake Michigan at We Energies Oak Creek Power Plant, releasing devastating pollution, including toxic coal ash, trucks, and other debris, into the precious Great Lake that supplies us with drinking water, food, a connection to nature, recreation, and serves as a foundation of the ecological health of our region. We Energies was implicated in the catastrophe, and additional environmental regulation violations were discovered during the response to the collapse. The EPA estimated We Energies paid $12.1 million for cleanup and remediation of the site after the collapse, and they were fined $100,000 by the state, but you can't put a price on clean water. This Halloween will be the 9-year anniversary of the incident. We Energies put lives, health, and the environment in danger back then, and they haven't stopped since. Last year, we came together and rallied for better common sense restrictions on their water permit. The community came out strongly against this major polluter, speaking at the permit hearing and submitting comments in defense of the water and our health. As a result of public input, the DNR changed the water permit to require that We Energies clean up their coal ash handling at Oak Creek by the end of 2021. Well, it's 1 year later, and they still haven't released a plan for how they're going to comply. We Energies' dirty tricks continue to haunt us. Today, we want a plan from We Energies. It's time that they clean up their act once and for all. We want a plan. The one and only plan we know will curb their pollution problem: retire the Oak Creek coal plant. Today, our speakers are going to share experiences of the harmful impacts of We Energies' dirty legacy from coal-related pollution and climate destruction. And we will take Q&A at the end. Our first speaker today is Sister Janet Weyker. Sister Janet of the Racine Dominicans lives at the Eco Justice Center and is a neighbor to the We Energies Oak Creek generating site. She is a co-founder and former director of the Eco Justice Center, a member of Sierra Club's Southeast Gateway Group, and a member of the Clean Power Coalition. Sister Janet.
Thanks, Dana. I live just down the road from the Oak Creek Power Plant, that dirty coal-burning plant. I, along with 3 other sisters and a Dominican volunteer, live at the Eco Justice Center. The center is about environmental education and justice and care for Earth. We try to model sustainable living through being in right relationships with all who share these 15 acres with us. We have solar electricity, solar hot water, a geothermal heating cooling system, a wind turbine, and we do organic gardening. I've been here for 16 years. I've seen the rural neighborhood change as We Energies bought up properties and demolished buildings so they could expand that plant. I've seen the 7-mile road closed to through traffic, and I was here when the Bluff collapsed in 2011. As a member of the Clean Power Coalition, I have heard neighbors who had access to the Bluff describe the awful sight of the materials that fell into the lake. Fortunately, no lives were lost in that accident, but the devastating impact of the failure has yet to be measured in terms of long-term health and its effect on the environment. One could call We Energies' promise to provide safe, reliable, and affordable energy a trick that they are playing on all of us who live near the plant and all who live along the tracks all the way from Wyoming to Oak Creek. all of us are feeling the impact of that burning of dirty coal. Driving by the We Energies plant on Highway 32, one sees a high green berm dotted with trees, hiding the inefficient, unsafe, and uneconomical energy plant. When the Bluff collapsed, it was, for the most part, out of sight from the public. However, several neighbors did manage to get a good look and take photos of the mess, including the coal ash that fell into the lake. The damage being done to the environment and human health by burning coal can't be hidden from everyone's view. It's not hidden when one of my housemates needs to stay indoors or wear a mask in our own yard when the wind comes from the wrong direction. It's not hidden when we see railway cars loaded with coal sitting on tracks just yards from our home. It's not hidden when we hear the noise from the trains that rattle the pictures on our walls. It's not hidden when we see coal dust on children's playground equipment in a nearby park. We ratepayers continue to pay monthly bills that hide the real cost of using fossil fuel. The public has been tricked enough. We want to be treated to clean, renewable energy. We ask that We Energy close the South Oak Creek coal plant and give us a plan that outlines a quick transition to 100% renewable energy. The health of the planet and all who share life on Earth require no less. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Janet. Our next speaker is Reverend Dana Kelley. Reverend Kelley is assistant pastor of the Reviving Faith Movement, as well as the civic engagement organizer for Citizen Action of Wisconsin and lead organizer of Northside Rising in Milwaukee, which aims to confront climate change and further climate equity via a green and just economy. Reverend Kelley.
Thank you, Dana, and thank you, Sister Janet, for such profound words. I dare not follow that to try to add up on it. So thankfully, God had already prepared me for following you, Sister Janet. So I'm just going to share a small Halloween poem that I wrote called Deadly PMs. The community of color lives in fear because a silent killer hovers near, lurking around from dawn until dusk. Destroying its presence is a must. Monstrous monopolies are the reasons why deadly particle matter tends to fly by. Entering through unsealed windows and doors, taking the health and the wealth of the poor. Who can rescue us? Many have asked. We Energies has promised to take on the task. But what have they done from day to day? Burn more coal while making poor people pay. $75 million going to waste while particle matter wipes out the human race. What can be done? What can we do to prevent deadly PM from coming to you? Air and water filtration and weatherization are important, but we need We Energies to retire the coal plant. Thank you.
That was awesome, Reverend Kelley. Thank you so much. Speaking next is Stephen Shea, who was first elected to the Milwaukee County Board's 8th District in the spring 2018 nonpartisan election. He's now serving his second term. The 8th District covers the entire cities of St. Francis, Cudahy, South Milwaukee, and portions of Ward 10 and 3 of the city of Oak Creek. Supervisor Shea was elected second vice chair of the Milwaukee County Board for the 2020 to 2022 term and is vice chair of the Parks, Energy, and Environment Committee, among others. Supervisor Shea.
Thank you, Dana. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Thank you. Yes, I am Milwaukee County Supervisor Stephen Shea, and I do sit on the Milwaukee County Parks and Environment Committee. Back in the BC era, before COVID, I, along with many others, spoke at the open meeting held in Oak Creek on the We Energy's request for a permit to dump more toxic metal-containing coal ash into Lake Michigan. The room was packed and could have been filled twice with the overflow crowd. Every single person who spoke at that meeting opposed We Energy's request. Among the toxic metals We Energy's dumps into Lake Michigan is mercury. Millions of people, myself included, consume drinking water from Lake Michigan. No matter how good the filtration systems, there is no way those filtration systems can begin to remove all the mercury and other toxic metals from our drinking water. Mercury is known to cause birth defects, neurological damage that includes depression, anxiety, and all manner of physical impairments. Recently, the Trump administration has gutted environmental protections, making it much easier for coal plants to pollute our environment. According to a Chicago Tribune article of last year, the biggest polluter in the Lake Michigan watershed is We Energies. Their coal burning plant in Oak Creek is polluting our air and water. Coal is the energy source of the 19th century. We don't need it in the 21st century. We Energies needs to step up and move towards non-fossil fuel sources of energy. I joined with Sierra Club and other activists, both elected and unelected, to call upon We Energies to set a timeline for closing its plant in Oak Creek for the sake of our environment and every living creature in it, including us humans. And I want to take this opportunity to say, please vote. I won't tell you who to vote for, but it is the duty of every American to vote. So please do. If you already have, thank you, and I salute your patriotism. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor Shea. Kirsten Shead is our next speaker. Kirsten is the co-executive director of the Milwaukee Water Commons and a member of Governor Evers' Climate Change Task Force. Her degree in chemistry and broad experience working in education, industry, and environmental labs inform her leadership in the nonprofit water sector. She has an unwavering commitment to social justice, environmental stewardship, and the Milwaukee community at large. Kirsten.
Good morning, everybody. There has already been so many good things said. I am going to speak specifically to environmental justice and climate change. So Milwaukee Water Commons is an environmental justice nonprofit, and we really look at our issues in our city and around the state and through the lens of shared stewardship and shared benefit. And what's happening at the Oak Creek Power Plant, what happened 9 years ago, is not a picture of shared stewardship nor of benefit. Environmental justice is are place-based issues, and I stand today with the Clean Power Coalition and the residents of Oak Creek that I know for years have been calling for the retirement of the Oak Creek Power Plant. We need to align ourselves with the people that are being most impacted by the effects of burning fossil fuels. As we look towards a future that is 100% renewable, we know we need to get there. The impacts of climate change, both urban and rural, in paved cities and in agricultural land across the Midwest, we're seeing flooding. As our weather patterns change, we have too much water and it's impacting the most vulnerable and the most already marginalized communities among us, which is primarily in Milwaukee, that's our Black and Brown communities, who recovering from flooding is incredibly difficult. So how does this tie to We Energies? We know that in order to achieve renewable energy for the state, and I speak as Milwaukee Water Commons, we need to rapidly move away from burning fossil fuels. As Stephen Shea said, that is the plan of the past. We need a plan for the future. I want to encourage us to look at the bold actions that we need to take as communities. I'm asking We Energies to take bold action to retire the Oak Creek Power Plant and to do it for both people and planet. We need, our Lake Michigan needs us to stop burning fossil fuels and emitting the pollutions that we are. And our people who are being impacted by asthma and flooding and the particulate matter that Dana Kelley so passionately shared about need us to stand boldly and demand renewable energy. So without bold action, we will not protect our future generations, which is our call and our charge. And so I stand with the community in Oak Creek and with the Clean Power Coalition asking We Energies for a plan. No more tricks, we need systems change.
Thank you so much, Kirsten. Next, we have Tom Rakowski. Tom is currently chair of the Southeast Gateway Group of Sierra Club, which includes Kenosha, Racine, and Walworth counties. He's also one of the founding members of the Clean Power Coalition of Southeast Wisconsin. In addition, Tom has also worked with the Citizens Climate Lobby and 350.org and organized the Southeast Wisconsin Solar Group Buy for its first 3 years. Tom.
Thanks, Dana. Can you hear me? Okay. So there's really only one question that remains unanswered about the South Oak Creek plant, and it's not a question of if it will retire. It's long overdue for retirement, and the transition from coal to clean energy is accelerating so quickly, it's creating a momentum that's really hard to resist. And this is a momentum that will also speed up the timeline for the Elm Road retirement. In the past few weeks, the International Energy Agency came out with their World Energy Outlook report saying that solar was the new king and that it was the cheapest source of electricity in history. A couple of weeks ago, General Electric came out with a statement saying that they would no longer build coal plants. And then just a few weeks ago, Vistra Energy announced the retirement of 6 coal plants throughout Illinois and Ohio, making the total 324 coal plants since 2010 to retire, leaving the 2 plants in Oak Creek among the 206 remaining to be retired. And I'd like to point out that with all those coal plant retirements, no one's complained of power outages or unreliability. So it's a reason that We Energies has used, but really doesn't hold any water. It's not a question of why. You've heard plenty about the environmental effects of this plant. The coal bluff collapse is really a pronounced, more dramatic catastrophe, but the slow-moving catastrophe has taken place throughout those neighborhoods where fugitive dust has blanketed the whole area, not to mention the dust that's escaped from the coal trains, from their mile-long coal trains traveling through towns. So Supervisor Shea pointed out the recent article in the Chicago Tribune. One thing that I learned from that is that the Oak Creek plants are the 6th largest contributors of toxic metals in the country, and by far the largest on the shore of Lake Michigan. So that's, we've lived with those toxins, the poor air quality for too long. And so the question that we need to have answered is when. And just months ago, Gail Clapper, the WEC Energy Chairman's executive, acknowledged that older, less efficient plants in their fleet would be looked at in terms of potential retirements and would consider closing plants on the bubble economically if their retirement would improve the environment. And I think that's, retiring all coal plants would, answer those 2 qualifications. Those statements lack any kind of urgency or responsibility to the residents. Independent economic analysis has shown that South Oak Creek plant cost the company $75 million a year to operate above the cost of energy available from the Midwestern grid. How much more financial incentive is needed to make this more than a marginal consideration? When exactly will retirement of such a plant be looked at? Such talk positions the company as well-intentioned without really giving a timeline for specific action. It creates an optical illusion of progress without taking any steps at all. An even greater cost of inaction, as mentioned by Kirsten, a debt paid by all of us and too long ignored by We Energies, is time lost for taking climate action. A cost most acutely understood by those who recently fled their homes due to fires, floods, or hurricanes. Closing the South Oak Creek plant would be the most significant step we could take to reduce planet warming emissions in southeast Wisconsin. Stakes really couldn't be higher. We deserve a definite date for plant closure, not mere speculation. And I feel compelled to add this Halloween theme, so I'm going to end with We Energies should give us treat us with a date and we'll all celebrate. Thanks.
I think we would all agree with that, Tom. Thank you. Our final speaker is Senator Chris Larson. Senator Larson was born and raised in Milwaukee County, where he learned to love Wisconsin's unique beauty by running every part of the South Side. He graduated from UW-Milwaukee with a degree in finance and a minor in political science. In 2008, he successfully ran for Milwaukee County Supervisor on a platform of fully funding our parks and transit systems. After defeating an entrenched incumbent from his own party during the 2010 fall primary, Chris was elected to the Wisconsin State Senate. Chris served as the Senate Democratic leader during the 2013-14 legislative session. In November 2014, he was re-elected to the Wisconsin State Senate for a second term, and again in November of 2018 for a third term. Chris is a strong environmental advocate and resides in Bayview with his wife and 2 children. Senator Larson.
Thank you so much, Dana, and thank you for having me. Good to see everybody virtually. As continuing with the theme, of course, that Saturday is Halloween, the 9th anniversary of the Bluff collapse. And there's nothing scarier than dirty air and not doing our part to address climate change. And of course, as kids get ready to dress up in costumes, maybe not to do trick-or-treating, but just to hang out because of COVID, it's sad that we still have We Energies trying to dress up old dirty coal and pretending that it's anything but an outdated mode of energy for Wisconsin. The failure of We Energies to come up with a plan to retire their coal plant is emblematic of the Trump administration's anti-science, polluter-friendly agenda. While Governor Evers and Wisconsin Democrats stand ready to lead with innovative solutions to our energy needs, the GOP climate deniers fight tooth and nail for the status quo. This backward-thinking approach is killing our planet, and it's endangering our children's future. And right now, where we are, the failure to close this plant is really a failure of the Trump administrations with relaxed EPA standards, with deregulation on top of that, and an obsession with trying to keep coal alive, much like the Frankenstein monster. We Energies has had plenty of the blame to go as well. But at the end of the day, they're a business and they're going to do what's best for their profits. Perhaps if they don't clean up their act, we should look at changing that model within our state and nationally. Because as they're going right now, fighting for coal is like fighting to keep CDs alive when everyone has a smartphone. Only if CDs were causing lung cancer and polluting the air instead of just taking up space in your basement. Evers and Wisconsin Democrats are fighting for clean air and clean water while the GOP continues to fight us at every step of the way. When we use dirty energy, we all pay more. In addition to paying among the highest rates for energy in the country, we're also paying with increased healthcare costs, with damage to the environment, with the opportunity cost of not being a leader in clean energy like we could be, which the rest of the world is already quickly embracing. A transition to clean energy jobs, or clean energy is a transition to a jobs program, hundreds of good paying jobs while protecting our future. Public pressure can work, as Supervisor Shea and others have pointed out when we packed the room over at Oak Creek Community Center last year, and before that, when We Energies dropped their plan to tax solar customers after massive public outcry led by the Sierra Club. So we got to keep that pressure on, and that's what today is about. It is time to keep pushing to move We Energies away from old coal and move Wisconsin into the modern era of clean energy. Let's get it done. Thank you.
Let's get it done. Thank you, Senator Larson. So thank you all for joining us today and for amplifying our concerns about the big polluter we all struggle with in daily life here in Wisconsin, which is We Energies. You heard it from all of us. We want a plan from We Energies now, and not just a plan for how they're going to comply with their water permit, because we know the only plan that will offer a healthy life to area residents and make any economic sense at all is a plan to close the We Energies Oak Creek coal plants. So again, thank you all for joining us. Take care, everyone, and stay safe.